we have new restrictions that are in place. Oh, the Lord is my very shepherd. Whatever thing we say we will do, there is something that we're saying we won't do, you know. We're saying no to something when we say yes to something else. So yeah, hashtag economics, you know. Wat is hy ding se naam? Opportunity cost, man, you know. So in this, I'm like, I have said yes to certain things in the past that I now say no to. And because I'm saying no to it now, I'm saying yes to the freedom, or I'm saying yes to the health, mental health predominantly, and the physical health that comes from making that kind of decision. Um, so that's in terms of restrictions. And I almost want to make an example in terms of, okay, the one obvious example that I also spoke of was that thing, but let me rather not say that. An example would be choosing my repertoire for my final semester as a BMAS student. I am dealing, choosing my rep. I literally decided, listen, I know I'm capable of playing these other things. I know that, and my ek piece, I'm choosing to have easier rep for this final semester. The one piece is difficult. But I'm choosing, out of the three, I'm choosing one piece that's incredibly difficult, and the other two are like medium. They're like, okay, you know, they're not, yeah, they're, you know, and it's okay, and it's beautiful, and there's still challenges in them. But if it were different, if it were last semester, which is what I did last semester, it would be like incredibly, all of them would just be like really hard, you know. And I'm like, where do you go? Leer van je fouten, you know, and God's really graced me to learn from those mistakes and to learn from the mistake of wanting to just prove myself. Why the need to absolutely prove myself, and then in the end just be physically tired, be stressed out, because it was actually impossible to get all of those things done in the amount of time that you have, because you're not a performance student, you know, you're a music ed student. And not even just that, you want to live a healthy life, you know, you want to live a healthy life, a balanced life, which is your main goal. You want to live a balanced life. So if it's about proving me to me, or proving me to whoever else or whatever, I'm not validated by the difficulty of the piano pieces that I play anymore. Or I'm striving to not be validated by the level of difficulty of life that I approach. And that's one of the things that I had to learn to put a restriction on, you know, the desire, and maybe I should do a video on that, but the desire to want to be validated by the amount of impossible that I have in my life. What does that even mean? You know what I mean? And so I know what that means, but I've come to realize, like, what does that even mean? Why do I want to prove that I can do 48 hours of work in 24 hours? No. Who you trying to kill though? Like, no, like, don't do that. That's not even, that's hurting yourself, and that's actually killing your dreams even before they come to fruition. So anyway, side story, video for itself. So that's one of the restrictions that I had to come put on my life, and be like, it's not happening. You know, it's not happening. And another, okay, maar kom ons daai is restrictions. As ek nou dink, kan ek go with analogy, new norm. And it's been tough. Like, even today still, this morning still, I was like, okay, but like, you know, I can't. And it's like, Nia, humble your pride. Like, all of this pride in my heart, like this pride, you know, that's pride. That is thinking, that is idolizing your own strength that that's not even it. You know what I'm saying? That's idolizing you, because you're being unrealistic and unhealthy, and you're not looking after the temple of God. So just getting that into check. Maar nou raak die video nou moeilik hierso. Okay, not that it wasn't from the start. And just elaborating on the new norm. En dan ook the new norm of just, yeah, anyway, the new norm of just feeling like, sorry mense, wie sag jy oor die honde blaf? But just new norms of the restrictions as well. Ek het 'n bietjie die ander goed vergeet. Maar net so the point is now you're in this new norm and you've let some things go, you know, wat ek ook gesê het, soos die or your best friend syndrome and other stuff like you're letting things go, and you've really like been doing the work. You've allowed the Holy Spirit to work in you, and He's continuing to do that. And it's giving God the glory for it. It's fine. It's being grateful for it. And then now you're like, okay, but now I actually need to accept that this is my new norm. Now I want to. I don't need to, but I want to. If I want to live a healthy life, then yes, but I want to accept now that this is my new norm. I want to accept that I am free. I want to accept and live in that. And I want to live in the freedom that I literally already have, you know, moving from a place of freedom. I want to live in, I want to soak in the fact that I don't think about things that way anymore. That I deeply, inherently, like die Here die werk kom doen en hy doen dit aan, ek gaan dit aanhou doen, you know, maar I'm not who I used to be, you know, and having to walk in that for myself. Having to accept that I don't think about those things anymore, maar ek is so gewoond, ek is al so gewoond om aan dit te dink dat ek voel dit is vreemd vir my om nie aan dit te dink nie. It's just that whole thing of when you move into, say you're moving from is it one story? One story is like a normal house, right? Okay. Moving from like a one-story house with 3 rooms. Okay, let's say with 4 rooms. Moving from a one-story house with 4 rooms to a mansion with 4 bedrooms and it's a 2-story mansion, for instance. You're moving to a 2-story mansion with 4 bedrooms, but then various other rooms, and you're coming from that, wat ek mos al gesê het. And you are literally still only living, and you literally only occupy 4 of the rooms in your multiple roomed house. It's the same thing, you know, and so it really is a mindset change. And when I've spoken to my father, especially like him coming from the struggle and journeying, I want to say, to where he is now, and the various mind shifts that he's had to make, like not needing to only buy the limitation on the amount of food that he buys, or the limitation on what the bowl can be, for instance, or the limitation on you know, where he could go and where he could not go, or just, it's literally in the same way that struggle has shaped his way of thinking as a child, as a young man. It's the same thing when we struggle with things for years. It's the same thing when we've struggled with shackles on our feet that didn't make us dance. Shout out to Mary, but being frank, that was a good one. But being frank, when we have like struggled with barriers on our faith for years, it's when we've struggled with barriers on our mind of who we are, when we struggle with low self-esteem, putting both my hands, my feet up for that, struggling with low self-esteem and moving out of that, combating it with the truth about who we are in Christ. Like when we literally come out of that mindset of once having been treated the way that we believed we ought to have been treated, because many times when you have low self-esteem, you accept treatment that is not actually the way you ought to be treated, but you believe that you should. But having received treatment that I once believed was what I should have, and given as well, you know, so as jy net goed word, was nie net op my gegooi nie. I've also done wrong. I've done wrong too. Out of my foolishness and out of my, I've done wrong, and I've made foolish decisions, and I take 500% responsibility for what I have said and done. Maar net even that, forgiving yourself for having, it's even that too, though, because sometimes when we have been foolish before, I don't know if that's just me, but I'm speaking for myself. Sometimes I've been so, I'm no longer making those kind of decisions, man, and then I'm still out here like trying to work out in my mind, okay, but now that that's what I did then, and oh my word, still limiting myself to making those kind of decisions. Kiki, perhaps in the future I will probably, somewhere it will happen again. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. The point is, I'm trying to say that I know things aren't going to be only great from here on out. I do recognize though that there are certain things where it's like, like die Here het my uitgehaal, man. Like God has really brought me out of that. And just believing that, this is where I'm at now. Believing that and being like walking out of, and I'm not in the fear, but out of the fear that of falling back, and out of the fear of, and not even just that anymore, but the fear of being there, or the fear of, and not even that though, the fear of actually being in Mauritius. Because I love that place, but being at the beach, the fear of it being good, the fear of like, oh my word, I can actually ask God for wisdom and have wisdom in this. Like, I can actually make a wise financial decision. I can make wise business decisions. I can make wise academic decisions. I can actually make wise decisions when it comes to choosing a husband, or when it comes to choosing someone that I want to spend the rest of my life with. Hashtag, I just proclaimed that over my life, but like, I can actually make wise decisions in that. God's grace is sufficient for me to do that. The support system that I have is sufficient for me to be able to do that, and having to believe that about myself. The freedom that gave for me, that came from me saying that, being able, I can make wise decisions in making a choice like that. I can, because of God's grace, and being able to like believe the good about myself and giving myself the freedom to do so without fear. And I know things take time. Just being there right now, being like, Lord, I'm able to do this. I'm able to trust the good guy friends that I have. Guys, this is me being hella franculations on this video, but I can actually trust like the good decisions that I can make in terms of the guy friends that I do have, regardless of my experiences in the past. I am able to, okay, I'm literally gonna stop this video now because wow. I am literally able, she goes on to talk for 2 more minutes. I'm literally able to make these good decisions and be frank about it. I'm able to stretch forward to that which lies ahead. Like, I just think that it's insane. Like, I'm not insane, but it's not. That's just the gist of it. Being able to believe that it can be good. Being able to believe that the semester can be really good. I'm really excited for the semester lying ahead. But the point is, now I'm starting to cringe and I'm really going to finish this video now. So that's just the moral of the story. That's the gist of it. And that's the vlogitations for today. So yeah. Anyway, if you're feeling the way that I'm feeling, we're in this together. Okay, I'm done.